What is good? Yo, look. Before you say anything, I know we were gone for a while. I know. But we can explain. Well,
I can definitely explain as well.
I can explain. Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't like to speak for other people. So I just let you do what you do. So yeah, man, you feel me? Sometimes life just says ah, and you feel me? Sometimes you gotta take a little step back, handle what you need to handle, and then you feel me, hop back in the pool. But yeah, you feel me?
Yeah, life definitely threw us some curveballs recently. Like family matters, issues, left and right, just constantly hitting us with curveballs.
Facts.
But we're definitely trying to be more consistent, so long as life is able to permit us to be more consistent.
Facts. But yeah, man. So I know we've dropped. I ain't gonna say a lot of content, but I know we've dropped a good bit of content, and the one thing that we have not focused on was what is Delta 8? What is it? Because we can't just keep making content and not explain what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what this is gonna be. It's gonna be a two-part video. This is part one. Part uno. So you feel me? Bear with us because this is information that a lot of people need to know. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people need to know this stuff. So pay attention, follow along with us, and it'll be a fun little class. You feel me?
And bear with us too, because you got to remember this is something new we're trying out. This is something new that we wanted to do for you guys, not just for us. We wanted to make sure that the information was there, it existed, and at least the next time you go into a smoke shop, you can be more well educated, not get duped.
That's a fact. All right. So what is Delta 8?
So, you good? Delta 8 basically is a very psychoactive compound. Well, it's not even really super psychoactive. That's more along the lines of different compounds. We will get into those at a later date if you guys are interested in that type of information. But Delta 8 is a cannabinoid that is brought forward from the hemp plant itself, which is nothing but the male plant to the female plant cannabis. Some people may call it like diet weed or fake weed or just straight up CBD, but this is not the same. It is not in the same category as like spice. Spice was considered fake weed for a long time there, but spice actually did a lot of damage to your brain when you smoked it. It actually ate holes in the brain tissue.
Right.
So it's similar to spice. It's not similar to spice. Okay.
Right.
So we already know that it's not that big of a deal. The cannabinoid itself does contain actual THC. It's within 0.3% of the actual compound. So like Delta 9 THC is only 0.3% inside of Delta 8 and Delta 8 subcannabinoids.
All right. So when it comes down to National Poison Control Centers handled 2,362 Delta 8 cases in a 14-month period. Now I'm not gonna say that is fully on shop workers selling people cannabinoids that they don't need or that are too strong for their caliber of what they what they're accustomed to and stuff like that. But I'd also say it comes from people not listening to the warnings. Like me and him have both given people warnings before they try, different Delta 8 cannabinoids and HHCs, D9s,
THC A-B. That's a new compound that just released not too long ago.
There you go, THCPs and all that. And some people think, oh man, it's only Delta 8, it's not that strong. Then they come back the next day or the next week, and it's like, oh,
Or they
weren't wrong.
yeah, they come back the next day and be like, bruh, fucked up. I ate all the gummies in the bag. Like, were you planning to meet God? Like, was that your choice?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you have people like that and shop workers that aren't really paying attention to the customer base needs and stuff like that, that's why you have that big of a number. That's why.
Yeah, because that's the stages of greening out. That's things that do happen when you green out and stuff like that. You can green out. You can start having hallucinations. You can vomit. You can get tremors and shakes and stuff like that from consuming these types of products, specifically because of the factor that if you don't know your tolerance level, or if you take too much of something and it's way too strong for your tolerance level, you are looking at a whole different ball game. You're looking at something that could possibly make you sick. It could, it really could actually cause you to have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
For the most part, and that's the reason why you see 2,362 cases for Delta 8 in a 14-month period. Now, of course, that was in 2021, from if my research is correct. If my research is correct, because I pulled it up on my phone earlier, looking at it. There are different types of things that can happen. I believe it's like nausea, dizziness, vomiting, tachycardia, which is where your heart speeds up. You get a slow heart rate sometimes. Drowsiness, which is obviously that's going to be a side effect. You're smoking, right? It's a part of it.
But dizziness is not.
Dizziness is not. Dizziness comes from like being way too high. And that's what we call the starting of greening out. Another side effect is going from automatic breathing to manual breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you have to remind yourself to breathe. You can get it.
All right, bet. So Delta 8 THC or Delta 8 tetrahydrocannabinol. Ooh, Lord, these words are kicking my ass.
You did smoke though, so that makes sense.
Shut up.
It checks out.
Shut up. Delta 8 THC is a naturally occurring chemical compound called a cannabinoid that is found in traces in hemp and cannabis, aka marijuana plants. In some states, you can legally buy products like gummies, vape cartridges, and capsules that contain a concentrated form of this compound. The popularity of the products contained Delta 8 is on the rise. You can find them everywhere, from boutique weed dispensaries to convenience store shelves.
The next question is Delta 8 synthetic. This says that nearly all of the Delta 8 you can buy is made in labs with cannabinol, or also known as CBD, from hemp plants along with several other chemicals. It is much more potent than Delta 8 found in nature because the FDA doesn't regulate the chemical process to make Delta 8. These products aren't tested for safety or quality. Harmful chemicals could be used to make them or created during the process. This is where you go to a reputable shop, someplace where you know that the people behind the counter are not just feeding you lies and feeding you bullshit. Because for the most part, what's going to end up happening is if you go to one of a shop that is feeding you just absolute bullshit, or if you go to a gas station, you have more of a chance of running into these cannabinols that are fake, and you really can't tell a difference between it by color, because color could be due to heat, it could be due to like the different types of distillation processes that they use to create the waxes that go inside of your dispos or inside of your cartridges. It's all based off of X, Y, or Z at that point. Got anything you want to say to that? Anything you want to add?
No, you pretty much hit it on the head. No, like for real, you did. And I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all gonna be asking this question: what are cannabinoids? Cannabis plants, which include marijuana and hemp, contain more than 100 chemical substances called cannabinoids. Some are psychoactive, which means they change how your brain functions, and some aren't. primarily the primary cannabinoids are tetrahydrocannabinol (THC) and CBD. The FDA has approved medical uses for some cannabinoids, including treatment of seizures and nausea and vomiting from chemotherapy. You know what I'm saying? So, like my dad, for instance, he uses Delta 8 gummies for his epilepsy. So, and that helps him a lot with it.
So backing up real quick to where it says there's the marijuana and hemp both contain more than 100 chemical substances called cannabinoids.
Mhm.
So if I'm correct, if I remember correctly, there's supposed to be like 121. Out of those 121 cannabinoids, there are 3 cannabinoids specifically that are inside of THC flower, like your marijuana. Marijuana actually contains CBD, CBG, and CBN, and most people don't even realize it, but that does already pre-exist inside of flower itself. It makes for a whole different situation when you actually know what's going into the flower. When you know what's in it, at that point in time, you start rethinking everything that you were taught, because back in the day, we were always taught CBD and Delta 9 were 2 totally different plants, but in all reality, they have a lot of similarities between each other. Oh, my bad. How Delta 8 THC differs from other cannabinoids. And the question that they start off with here is, why is there such a growing demand for Delta 8? For starters, it's a chemical structure that is similar to that of its well-known cousin, Delta 9, tetrahydrocannabinol, or also known as Delta 9 THC, the main compound in marijuana that gets you high. Then you have like your Delta 8 versus Delta 9. Both Delta 8 and Delta 9 are forms of THC. But when people refer to THC, they usually mean the Delta 9 that's found in high concentrations in marijuana. While it doesn't produce as an intense high as Delta 9, Delta 8 can affect your mood, thoughts, feelings, and how you act. In fact, Delta 8 is often referred to as marijuana light or diet weed. Other common THC side effects like paranoia, anxiety, drowsiness are also less potent with Delta 8 THC versus Delta 9 THC. I was thinking about something and it just left my mind. That refers back to the conversation we were having earlier with the little things. The little bubbles on the top. Yeah, about the diet weed and shit. Yeah, so like how this one says users call it diet weed. We know that already. Yeah. But I just wanted to reiterate that. Yeah. It is not diet weed. It is a whole different thing in itself. Yeah. But, sorry, I wanted to make sure that was reiterated.
But a lot of like, what's the word I can use? Consistent users of like Delta 9 THC, they stop there, because it's like they hear Delta 8 and CBD within the same, or Delta 8 or hemp within the same sentence, and it's like, nah, rule that out, because that's not real weed. But it's like, as y'all have seen in my previous videos that I've done, if I put a hemp plant and a weed plant in front of you, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
Not at all. You won't even be able to distinguish it by scent, specifically because of the factor that they smell the same, they look the same. Hell, they pretty much act the same, honestly. Yeah. Whenever you break down the flower, it does the exact same thing as regular flower would. Yeah.
So, that's just for my diet weed people. So you got Delta 8 versus CBD. You can get CBD either from hemp or marijuana plants, as I literally just said, which both of which are.
I'm sorry, bro. I couldn't help it. The blah blah blah. It's killing me, bro.
Anyway. Danger. You can get CBD either from hemp or marijuana plants, both of which are types of cannabis sativa. Hemp has much less THC than marijuana. Unlike Delta 8, CBD doesn't cause a high. You can find both Delta 8 and CBD products you buy online or in a store, but you can also be prescribed pure CBD. The FDA has approved it as an anti-seizure drug for people with epilepsy. As I said, my pops uses the Delta 8 gummies for his epilepsy. CBD is being studied as a treatment for many health issues like anxiety, diabetes, multiple
Sclerosis.
Okay.
Sclerosis.
Sclerosis.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Probably pronouncing that wrong.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Parkinson's disease and schizophrenia. Less is known about Delta 8. Anything you want to add to that?
So CBD is definitely is very useful for individuals because I know of a couple of people who have like PTSD that use CBD.
Yeah.
Just straight CBD, not like the Deltas, but actual CBD,
Mm-hmm.
and they say that it works really well for them. This next portion, though, I have a lot that I would like to talk about.
All right.
It's about Delta 10.
Okay.
So, Delta 8 versus Delta 10. All right, bet. You may have seen products that contain Delta 10 THC. It's in the same chemical family as Delta 8 and Delta 9. Like Delta 8, Delta 10 can be made in a lab using hemp. Beyond that, little is known about potential health benefits or how it works. Some people claim that Delta 10 helps you feel happier and more focused, but doesn't get you as high as you would with Delta 8. Many products that contain Delta 10 also claim that it has health benefits, such as anxiety relief, but so far, none of that has been verified by research. Again, we're going back to the research portion. Yes, this is true. There is no research backing up any claims that Delta 10, Delta 8, or Delta 9 from hemp products actually help with any ailments. One thing that I will state is that as a person with ADHD and ADD, Delta 10 hits me a lot harder than an individual who does not have ADHD and ADD. So like neurodivergence, Delta 10 hits harder for some reason. I think it has something to do with our brains and the way that they're wired. But when it comes down to it, like the way that it all interacts with regular people, like normal people that smoke a lot, Delta 10 won't do much for. You know, like an individual like, for instance, Juice here. He couldn't smoke Delta 10 and feel much off of it. Now, if it was like a accent, like something that was a stacked combo of multiple compounds, then he would feel it. Like if there was a THCA, D8, D10, D9, and an HHC, he would feel it a lot more because of the fact that there's more cannabinoids hitting multiple receptors at one time, which we'll get more into the receptors later on. I think there was something about it in this paper. So
And
that's one thing I want to
another
say.
thing, like, don't get hooked onto the blends. You get what I'm saying? Find a cannabinoid that best works for you. I love HHC, but I prefer THCP over it. I don't know why. It's just my preference. Well, actually, no, I do know why. I don't like the slow buildup that HHC has to have for me to get the full effect. THCP is not even like that. Like 2 hits off of a disposable and you know what I'm saying? So
Whereas for me, I prefer HHC over most other compounds, but that's also because it's a hydrogen base. I know what it is, so I know how it affects me in the first place. Now, I also know that HHC also has a tendency to reset the brain's receptors, allowing for your THC receptors to take a tolerance break without actually taking a tolerance break. Because what it does is basically it unbinds the THC. The tetracannabinol is completely unbinded from the receptors. Sorry.
you good. And here we have it. D8 versus HHC. Go ahead.
All right, so hexahydrocannabinol. This is the HHC compound. It is THC that has gone through a chemical process called hydrogenation. It's like Delta 8. It's made from the hemp, or the hemp plant itself, okay? And you can find it in a lot of products, from gummies to vapes. Both HHC and Delta 8 THC bind to the brain receptors that control the functions in your body, like sleep and memory, but the way they affect you can feel different. Users say the feeling from HHC is like that of Delta 9 THC. That means that you may feel a more intense high than you would from Delta 8, which that is valid. HHC is stronger than Delta 8 THC. Delta 8 THC, from the percentages, is only like, 50 to 65% as strong as D9, if I'm thinking correctly. And then HHC is like, 4 or 5 times stronger than Delta 9? Because I know THCP is 30 times stronger. THCJD is only 19.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got THCH, which is 10.
Yeah.
So HHC definitely hits harder, but that's also because it's stripping the tetracannabinol. While it's stripping that tetracannabinol, it's basically giving you the tolerance break without actually taking one. Now we get into the good stuff.
How do people use Delta 8? Now, there are many ways to use Delta 8, including in edible products such as brownies or gummies, in liquid extracts called tinctures, which you can put in food or drinks or place underneath your tongue. Me personally, mix it with a drink. It tastes horrible. Inhaled as vape concentrates like wax or oil. Boom, boom. Ooh, that camera is trash when I gotta put stuff up to whatever. Smoked as buds, flower, or as hemp, and on which Delta 8 concentrate has been sprayed. Yes. So, well, we gonna circle back to that. As capsules, you take by mouth or on the skin through creams, lotions, or patches. Now, the first 4 are pretty much self-explanatory, but let me touch on the 4th one a little bit more. Do not be out here thinking that HHC grows naturally out the ground. Do not be out here thinking that none of the cannabinoids that you buy from your local smoke shop, these buds, these flowers, do not grow naturally out of the ground that strong. All of it starts from a Delta 8. No, wait, is it CBD now?
So it is a Delta 8. Delta 8 is extracted, or technically
No,
Delta 9.
like the base process, because isn't it like a CBD nug sprayed? No.
No. So
is
for
it
the
Delta
most
8
part,
nug?
it's a hemp nug.
A hemp nug.
It's a hemp nug, and yes, it is sprayed with a compound. But
Yes.
that compound, it just depends on what that compound is. For instance, if it's a THCA compound, they're going to spray that THCA on the flower.
Right.
And even then, sometimes they may not even spray it. They may just soak that bitch.
Yeah.
So that way it soaks up more of the THCA compounds. And
Right,
some
right.
brands do that better than others.
That is true.
You know, like, for instance, Venera. I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
But Venera, perfect example. Really, really good brand. But mainly because of the fact that their flower is different. They've got a very strong THCA hit to them.
Right.
That THCA is very strong in the first place. Now you're adding, extra variables to it. Through carcinogen creates better THCA. Because
Right.
THCA only activates when it's heated.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a THCA bud that says 58.24%. Hit it with some flame, and then boom, now you add 100.
Right. Going crazy with it. Going crazy.
I've never seen the capsules though.
Fine.
I've never seen Delta capsules. I've only seen like the gummies, the vapes, the dispos, the cartridges, the waxes, and shit like that. I've seen the lotions, but I've never seen anything else other than that.
Right. The effects of Delta 8 THC on the body. Psychoactive properties of Delta 8 THC. Chemically, Delta 8 THC is almost identical to the Delta 9 THC in marijuana. Also, what has been said multiple times during this explanation. So please stop calling it diet weed.
Please. You'll be doing every smoke shop employee, every person that works behind the counter in a smoke shop, a huge favor.
Like, I can't tell you how offended I get.
Because then I'm sitting there and I'm like, Nah. So you want to play this game? Now you're going to fuck around and find out. Here, take this pen, take a rip off of it, and see what you feel. 2 seconds later, you're sitting there coughing on the floor. You made me do this.
I'm gonna definitely cut that part out. Because you just openly incriminated yourself with assaulting a nigga with a substance.
It's not like it ain't on their own free will, though, my boy.
Nah, bitch.
If I had, hit this shit. Go ahead.
Bitch,
I ain't trying to cram this shit down their throat. I'm just like, here, take a hit. If they say no, at that point, I'm like, all right, man, my bad, and I'll put it back down. And 9 times out of 10, they come back when they're ready and ask to hit it. When they're ready. But see, you gotta open up the door to curiosity.
All right, motherfucker, let me finish this damn statement.
My bad. My bad. You gotta open that door to curiosity, my boy. Sorry.
The main difference is in the location of a bond between 2 of its carbon atoms. This variation means that there is less attraction between delta 8 and the cannabinoid receptor found on the cells in your body. That's why delta 8 high is less intense than the high you feel from delta 9.
How delta 8 THC interacts with the endocannabinoid system. Your endocannabinoid system, the ECS, is a network of cell signals and receivers throughout your body. You have more cannabinoid receptors in your brain than nearly any other kind. They're called CB1 receptors, and they help control and adjust your central nervous system. That means they help control functions like your mood, hunger, body temperature, sense of pain, and alertness. So, we only talking about the CB1 receptors, but there is another form of the receptor called the CB2 receptors. Different types of cannabinoids bind to each one of these receptors in different ways. For instance, HHC may hit one way, whereas delta 8 hits the other way. So it's just basically based off of how your body reacts, because every single person is different. Every person's receptor count's different. Everybody's different. Nobody is going to be the same. What works for him may not work for me, and what may work for me may not work for him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, sometimes he can get hunger. Well, no. I get the munchies. I turn into a black hole, no cap.
And I don't ever get the munchies, no matter how much I smoke. That's just like I never have a morning hangover the next morning either.
You be making me feeling fat. I be sitting there like, you want some food? You be like, nah, I'm good.
So,
I ate a whole pizza and you talking about some nah.
CB1 receptors need to be unlocked by tiny particles in your body called endocannabinoids. Delta 8's structure is close enough to the chemical makeup of endocannabinoids that it can turn on these cells and hijack your ECS for a while. That's how delta 8 gets you high. Delta 9 mimics your body's endocannabinoid structure even more closely.
Mm-hmm. So, how it affects the brain's chemistry? Because delta 8 is unregulated and we don't have much research on it. We don't know what effect it will have on your brain, especially in the long run. But cannabinoids in general are thought to be temporary boosts to levels of the feel-good chemical dopamine in the brain.
That's the reason why you smoke, is because of the dopamine. Most people who are depressed lack dopamine. The risks and side effects of delta 8 THC. There's not much research or evidence about delta 8's impact on your overall health. Many people have reported, mostly via social media posts, that they use delta 8 along with their prescription medications to help with depression and substance use. Users say delta 8 can also calm nausea, boost appetite, ease pain relief, boost mental health, and prevent vomiting during cancer treatment. But experts say these benefits are unproven and there's a lack of research on how it affects your health. Just because you can buy it off the shelves doesn't mean that it's risk-free. So, one thing that I do want to say about this section, the fact that it says most people use delta 8 along with their prescription medication to help with depression and substance use, Don't ever do that. Don't ever mix your medications with anything else, no matter if it's fucking alcohol, goddamn marijuana, fucking Delta 8, anything. Don't ever do that because you never know the side effects that you're going to get off of that. You never know at all. Now, if your doctor says it's okay, at that point in time, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. But if he didn't, please don't smoke or use any Delta products while on your medication, please.
Because that could end up really
Yeah.
bad. Short-term side effects of Delta 8 THC. Some people have reported side effects like confusion, anxiety, drowsiness, dizziness, slow heart rate, numbness, a fast heart rate, low blood pressure. There we go. Hallucinations or psychosis, vomiting, shaking or tremors, loss of consciousness. Those all sound terrifying. But in all reality, it's called greening out. The greening out process is due to not having enough water in your system and smoking way too much. Or just smoking way too much and it just being way too much for your body to handle in the first place.
Like when people try to smoke to be cool, to hang out with the crowd.
And then you see them sitting over on the edge of the concrete throwing up.
And or like you see the nigga at the party trying to impress shorty in the corner. Cause told you, yeah, I smoke big blunts. And now he in the bathroom hugging the toilet. Yeah.
It's not because he's been drinking and smoking. It's because of the smoking, more than likely. For the most part, most people also, like with the entire hallucinations, you can have auditory hallucinations while smoking Delta. Or any type of Delta in that
I
general.
heard my mom call me many times while I was smoking.
Right, exactly.
Question,
But that's the whole point, is you're greening out is a normal process. It's your body's way of telling you, bro, this is too fucking much for me. You know?
Okay, I wouldn't say it's a normal process. I'd say it's a normal occurrence if you don't pay attention to your limit. Know your limits. This goes back to knowing your limits.
Yeah.
And if you don't smoke, and you want to smoke, and you want to try Delta 8, there are slow ways to go about it. You feel me? Spark it up, take a hit or two, put it out. You feel me? See how you feel. But for the people that have that mentality of, well, I don't want to relight it after I put it out, you stupid.
I mean, at that point in time, they could also just go with another compound. THCV. Super weak compound. Especially for somebody brand new.
We don't want to promote overusage.
Oh, no, of course not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, know your limits. Like,
yeah, of course.
Like, don't try to just face the whole J if you ain't never, you feel me? If you ain't never faced the whole J by yourself before, don't
try
that.
to smoke the whole damn thing.
Why? If you've never faced the whole J of regular weed, why would you try to face the whole J of Delta 8?
Exactly. Even down to it though, like that's just like the pre-roll video that we did.
Yep.
I put that bitch out because I knew my limit. I knew I
smoked
was.
the whole thing.
Yeah, he smoked the whole thing, whereas I put it out.
But I face J's by myself, and when I say face J's, I mean I smoke J's by myself. Like he don't.
I smoke just to relieve back pain.
I'm a smoker.
Yeah.
He's not.
I'm just the science guy. The science guy. I'm sorry.
Kind of remind me of that nigga Sheldon. Anyway,
if you try Delta 8 products and notice any of these reactions, tell your doctor right away. If it's an emergency, call 911 or head to a hospital near you. If a child eats or is exposed to Delta 8 products like gummies or candies, get medical care right away. Do not use Delta 8 or any other type of cannabis product. If you're pregnant or nursing, it could be risky for your baby.
Do not.
If you're pregnant, do not use like Delta 8 for your child at all. It's the same thing as like smoking a cigarette.
You a L mom if you smoking while you pregnant. That's all I'm saying.
As far as like the entire calling 911, definitely if you feel like your life is being threatened at that point in time, yes.
Call 911.
But if you're, is that for all of it?
No, I'm saying like if
you feel like you're if you feel like you're fucking
if you feel like this isn't like, because I mean everybody's different. You feel me? Everybody has a different like alert system on what I feel like I'm dying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like me when I was on my little drug reign back in Louisiana. There have been plenty of times where I thought I was about to die, but no, I was just so fucked up on whatever drug I was. That was just normal for that drug. You know what I'm saying?
right, of course.
So, but I never called 911. But that's because I was stupid. I'm grown now. Don't be stupid. Call 911 if you feel like you're dying. Like literally, call 911.
That's a valid statement, though, like for sure. Like if you feel like a lot of people, like some people have reported numbness, and I think I know what they're talking about here. It's where like, for me, what it felt like whenever I felt like the numbness come on wasn't like just a limb. It wasn't like a finger or a hand or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was like full body numbness, but it wasn't like, oh, I can't breathe type of numbness. It was more or less just, I felt like I was made of glass. You know, like, you know how, like, sometimes you get that, like, numbing feeling and you feel kind of, like, glassy?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it felt.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah, that's what numbness is.
Because I be coughing sometimes, yo, after I done ripped a pen, like a mean blinker, and it be feeling like my arm just disconnected.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the numbness they're talking about,
okay.
McQuaid.
All right, never mind.
We had a whole 45-minute conversation before doing this video about this shit. Just so everybody knows.
Look. When I deadass thought that numbness, I'm like, that's more of a cocaine thing. I don't know what these niggas on. Oh.
Shit, but you ain't wrong.
I've done coke before. I know what they talking about, but no, you don't get that from that. No, but apparently you do.
Yeah, it's just when you smoke too much for the most part, and like you get the numbness.
Cause boy, both shoulders be sitting there like heavy as a bitch.
My boy walking around with some boulders, talking about some.
What up? Good.
I got tiny arms.
I don't think you thought this plan through before you did it. You got a big head and tiny arms.
Oh, shit.
Shout out me to Rob. Long-term risk and effects of Delta 8. So, I feel like this is... Okay, anyway. Long-term risk and effects of Delta 8 THC. Because there's been little research into Delta 8, we don't know what its long-term effects might be. We know a bit more about Delta 9 THC. I hate the way that they just put that in there. Research has suggested that people who use marijuana over several years saw brain effects like lower IQ, slower processing speed, and memory and attention issues. There could also be long-term effects from additives in Delta 8 products. One small study found lead and mercury among other potentially harmful ingredients in a sampling of Delta 8 vape oils. Now, I will say, over the years of the progression of Delta 8, there have been studies of metals being found in vape oils and stuff like that. But now I'm not taking up with those companies whatsoever, because you should have your shit together. If you're spouting out millions of dollars worth of products for people to consume and shit like that,
They should be safe.
right?
Period. But if you ever want to know about the heavy metals testings, you can always scan the QR code on the back of the packaging. The QR code gives you something called a COA, a Certificate of Analysis. You can take a deep dive into that certificate. You can even see where it has the heavy metals test It has all of the extra stuff testing like there. Oh God, I wish I had one right now. I could tell you exactly what's on one, but basically there's a bunch of different types of testing that goes on throughout the newer products that come out. The newer the product is, the more testing that's done. But right now I have a THC, a joystick company. They make edibles. I don't know if you guys can see that shit. That shit's bright as fuck. But that's a pie chart right there that shows the amounts of THC and other things that are inside of the actual edible. Alongside that, it has a total breakdown from just the QR code. It shows you everything you need to know about the actual product itself. It tells you the basics of like what type of CBD is in it, all the way down to like what the heavy metals are, the total cannabinoids that's inside the product, and there's just a ton of different things that you can take a look into with this stuff. There's different types of QR codes, all kinds of different things, and you can even scan more QR codes to go to the next to the next thing, or to the home page. You can check out their home page and see more of their COA products.
Right. But I definitely, I'd say if a company you're looking into does not have a fully detailed
COA?
COA, no.
Don't fuck with them?
No.
Too risky.
Because me personally, I only deal with companies that have their shit together. Like Herb, the dopest, Purple.
Oh God, Purple. Medusa, yes. Or Modus now.
Oh, it's Modus?
Yeah, they changed from Medusa to Modus after the THCO ban.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were one of the biggest companies with THCO, remember?
That's true. There's a thing comment down below. Who's y'all's favorite Delta brand? Let's go with that.
What's your favorite sub-compound? What's your favorite cannabinoid?
Damn, 3 questions? These niggas got homework?
No, I'm not even giving them homework. I'm just saying, leave a comment down below letting us know what your favorite cannabinoid is.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, at that point in time, we get to know you guys a little bit better. Maybe we might even try something on the stream.
Facts. All right. I'm going to let you get that. My tongue's out of reading.
Is Delta 8 legal? Federal and state laws regarding Delta 8 THC. Another reason that Delta 8's growing popularity is that unlikely heavily... What? Wait a damn second. My brain just slipped a gear. Another reason for Delta 8's growing popularity is that unlike heavily regulated THC, Delta 8 is legal to use in most states. That's because it's extracted mostly from CBD derived from hemp, which is legal to farm across the U.S., but Delta 8 sits in a legal gray area. Hemp's legality stems from the so-called Federal Farm Bill Act, the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, which removed hemp and its byproducts from the list of controlled substances. The reason, hemp's low THC levels, less than 0.3%. The bill did not mention Delta 8 anywhere. Hemp advocates and others who sell it have used this loophole to legally market Delta 8 products, usually with no age restriction. As a result, it is now the fastest growing product from the hemp industry. Because there's little oversight or lab testing on what goes into Delta 8 products, chemists and other scientists have safety concerns. Products labeled as Delta 8 may contain impurities, including high levels of THC. As a result, around a dozen states, including New York and Colorado, are beginning to restrict or ban the use of Delta 8. So, in the past, there have been a few companies that have been hit hard by the FDA. One of which I'm going to mention, Death by Gummy Bears. The Death by Gummy Bear brand was marketed as a, 500 milligram Delta 8 edible? Was it 500 or was it 100? It was a little teddy bear, little gummy bear, about this big. And it was marketed as a low-dosed Delta 8 gummy.
It's 500.
It's 500. Even that's still low dosage.
Yeah.
it was 50 times stronger than what it was saying on its packaging. 50. So in that case and in that specific gray area is where they're talking about is companies like that, the ones that bring forth that stuff. Now don't get me wrong, the Death by Gummy Bears were fired. But they broke the rules.
The fuck up out of it. They make people like them make it a little harder for the reputable companies.
Yeah. And that's kind of the whole point behind it. I just wanted to point out the factor that is a gray area. That gray area is why this type of stuff has happened.
Yeah.
Because Death by Gummy Bears was stationed in New Hampshire, I would say. And that's whenever they got raided. That's just like Flying Monkey got hit too, I think. Purple did too.
See, they got packed up. Ain't no anymore. Alright. Risk of consuming Delta 8 THC in states where it's illegal. You could face charges for possessing, making, or selling Delta 8 in states where it's against the law, even in states where Delta 8 is legal. You could face charges if you drive while under the influence of it. So you're not smoking drive.
Exactly. Don't
smoke.
It's the same thing as drinking and driving. You're still going to get a DUI.
Yeah. So just because, some of y'all want to say, oh, baby. Again, say that. But you still copping that DUI, my boy. Where can you get it? You can buy Delta 8 products all over the counter at gas stations, convenience stores, and weed and vape shops. Let me just go and stop that right
here.
Yeah. If you buying your Delta 8 from a gas station or a convenience store, that is your first error. That
is a red flag number 1.
Go to your local smoke shop. What is that right there? Weed and vape shop? That should be the only part there. If I'm being completely honest. Many online sellers also offer them. It's important to note that there's no quality control for these products and its ingredient list, so it's easy to confuse Delta 8 products for CBD, which doesn't cause a high.
This was the thing we were talking about earlier, where you go to a reputable shop, and that shop gives you the information that you need, versus just sells you whatever.
Right. He was the nerdy worker. I was the fun worker. But we still you still got your information
no matter
in the
what.
same sense. Whether it was me or him. You know what I'm saying? So
will you test positive for THC? So it depends. Delta 8 is a form of THC. Drug test often looks for traces of Delta 9, but Delta 8 could show up as a positive for THC. Whether it's Delta 8 or Delta 9, people also react differently to cannabinoids, depending on the type of products they use and how long they use them for. Currently, commercial urine drug tests don't distinguish the difference between cannabinoids. Dyslexia. Okay, we're just going to go with it. So if you have a drug test coming up, it's best that you avoid Delta 8 products. Mainly because of the fact that the Delta 8 still contains 0.3% Delta 9 THC, which is more than enough to still pop on a test.
So, that was our breakdown of Delta 8. If you enjoyed the video, definitely, give it a like. Let's try to get this market to 10 likes.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. 10 likes.
Start small. 10 likes. You feel me? Anything you want to add?
Comment your favorite cannabinoid. Mugo's already talked about that in the video, but make sure you comment your favorite cannabinoid down in the bottom of the comment section.
Yeah.
Also, do we have... Not yet? Okay. We'll just cut that bitch out.
But yeah, man, comment your favorite cannabinoid down below in the comment section. And if you're new here, hey, give us a sub, Give
Welcome
us
to the
a
channel.
sub. Give us a you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, just stay wavy with it. TXP out, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Be safe, guys.
Peace.